Alrighty guys, we're back for Izzet Bombardment, and this is a Murders at Karlov Manor standard brew, and I'm Redcat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, but first things first, this was a suggestion down in the comments, so thank you so much for the suggestion. It's gonna be a fun one. It was essentially to revisit Izzet, but with Arcane Bombardment, so that's what we're doing. We got a couple Arcane Bombardments. It's a 6 mana enchantment, and whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery each turn, exile an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard. Then copy each card exiled with Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana costs. Beautiful card, man, but there's a reason I only opted for 2 of them in here. While it is the main build around, I do think that the deck is just going to have other ways to go ahead and close up the game. One of those being like Chandra Hope's Beacon, for example. Very powerful top-end planeswalker. It's going to work really well with all of our extra burn spells packed in, which for a lot of the removal, I'm just opting for burn because I also just want to be able to hit the opponent's face. So we got all 4 lightning strikes, all 4 play with fires as well. Let's have a little bit of tempo packed in with like Fading Hope because we actually do have some counter spells packed in too. And for the counter spells, I'm opting for Urza's Rebuff. It's a 3 mana instant speed. You get to choose one of these. You can either counter target spell or tap up to 2 target creatures. So more of like a tempo thing, but the main reason Urza's Rebuff is the choice, because if you're hitting this out of the grave with Arcane Bombardment, like if you hit a normal counterspell, then that's not really that great. You know what I mean? Because you're going to recast the counterspell back, and then like there's not a whole lot of fancy things you can do with that. But if you're recasting Urza's Rebuff back, then at least you'll still have that bottom option. That's kind of the same concept for all of our board wipes too. All of our board wipes are also just doing another thing as well, or have the choice to do another thing. So like a couple Into the Fires for early board wipes, or you can filter cards out of your hand. Similar concept with Ill-Timed Explosion too. Sorcery speed, draw 2 cards. Then you may discard 2 cards. So you may discard, right? So when you do, it deals X damage to each creature where X is the greatest mana value among cards discarded this way. So that could be a chunk of damage. So we also have Burn Down the House. Of course, if you're not burning down that house, then you're just dropping those devils, which is one of our main win conditions anyways in here, right? Especially if you're spamming out extra devils from the bombardment. Also, just a lot of other cool instants and sorceries like Invoke the Winds making the cut, right? So 5 mana sorcery, gain control of target artifact or creature, untap it. Pretty sick. And then also Invoke Calamity is in here too. In case we don't see that Arcane Bombardment, there's a whole lot of stuff that we wouldn't mind casting back. Now they do all go into exile. So this could also be a way for you to clean up cards out of the grave that you don't want to hit with the Arcane Bombardment. And that's a similar concept with Kylox's Voltstrider too, also being one of our win conditions as well. We also have Spell Pierce. A little lonely Spell Pierce here to potentially like protect the bombardment from enchantment removal, but we'll see. The main protection from enchantment removal is just going to be our main counter spell. Ways to see more off the top like Moment of Truth, also ways to stock up the grave too off of the Moment of Truth, right? Some honorable mentions over here, guys. Thought about a Braid, Brotherhood's End, and no Pain Land this time. We're actually opting for the Thundering Falls instead because of that Surveil. Okay, guys, hey, we're going to save the more in-depth discussion for the end of the video, and we'll talk more about the synergies there, potentially change up the deck list as well before I post it for everybody. In the meantime, let's go ahead, hop into some ranked, and see how we do. Right into that first game, guys. What am I expecting from the build? I actually think it's going to be pretty good, man. I didn't play any test games with this. Just like I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, this should totally do the thing, especially against the current meta. We have so many like board wipes and stuff. All right, let's keep this. Thundering Falls on turn 1. There's nothing to be sad about. The early Scries. I find the Scry land to be pretty good, actually. Like, I'm never too worried about this coming in tapped, and I'm always just pleased to have that Surveil, which just kind of counts as a Scry. Yeah, I'll totally keep the Lightning Strike. Just an island, huh? Okay. Well, I'll go Thundering Falls, number 2. And now we have Spell Pierce open. Versus Rebuff. Actually going to send that. We already have one in hand, and I kind of just want to see more mana for the next couple turns. Make sure we can get into that big score. Consider. Okay, you can have the Consider. This Spell Pierce might come in handy elsewhere against a deck like this. Potentially mono blue tempo. Restless Spire. Okay. So I wouldn't mind getting the island down to make sure we have the counterspell for like the Haughty Djinn, but I'm pretty sure they try a turn 4 Haughty Djinn anyways. So we'll just go for keeping the Lightning Strike open, get the Restless Spire down now so that way we can potentially have that turn 4 big score that I really wanted. Look at all those tapped land, huh? Gonna be consider number 2. I'm still thinking that the Spell Pierce has better targets here. Like Spell Piercing a counterspell, for example. Passing it back. Alright. And we pass it back. Urza's Rebuff is now open as well as the Spell Pierce. And if we don't end up countering anything, the big score... Oh, while they're tapped out, we should totally drop this big score, right? I think so. Mountain, probably. Everything in hand is pretty good. I wouldn't mind ditching the Spell Pierce, but... Okay. Okay. Field of Ruin in hand. This is worthwhile, right? Spell Pierce the Thirst for Discovery. That was a pretty good turn. I hope that was all worthwhile. Sometimes it's hard to figure out where the value lies. With double bombardments, we have our 6. There's no way this doesn't get countered. No way it lands. So just keeping Urza's Rebuff open. Could swing with Restless Spire too. I don't think so. Because we'll have big score, ditch the Lightning Strike probably. Because we want to keep the double bombardments for when one eventually does get countered. There's for Discovery. Do we let this one stick? Okay. We let this one stick. Because I want them to use their counter spells on my stuff next turn. Okay. Consider. Or, while they're tapped out, we could go big score again. Okay, why not? We'll ditch the Lightning Strike. That's funny, dude. Okay, we do have the Urza's Rebuff open, but also just all this extra mana should come in handy. Eventually, they got to play a creature. There's the Haughty Djinn. Okay. Well, they still have 2 open, so it's probably a counterspell if we try the Urza's Rebuff. So we're going to just attempt the Fading Hope. See if we can get them to tap down here. A good tempo hit with a Scry as well. I doubt they tap. Oh, okay. Mana off the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I'm going to keep the mana to make sure we have enough open to play Arcane Bombardment and have the Urza's Rebuff. Right? So we'll have 9 here. All right, let's do this. And then Urza's Rebuff to counter their counter. Oh, yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah. That's good stuff. That's good stuff, huh? Now that Arcane Bombardment's on the board, I don't know what Mono Blue has to deal with enchantments. Is there anything? It could be like a generic bounce back to hand spell that hits any non-land permanent, but I don't think they run those very often. This is going to be sick, dude. Doing the thing in game 1 feels great. Of course, now we just want to see as many of our instants and sorceries off the top as possible. So, 1, 2, we'll play around a... I wouldn't mind keeping Crucible as utility, but I want to play around at least a Make Disappear, right? Attempt the Devils. I don't think it lands, but Arcane Bombardment still goes. And a counter on the Burn Down the House just means that Soaring City. Oh no, that's what Mono Blue can run. Well, we're still playing around a Spell Pierce here, so... Oh. Huh. Spell Pierce. I guess we declined because we don't want to counter our own thing, right? That's funny, though. We can't power up the Spire. Get that swing. This is, now that Bombardment's back in hand, guys, I hate to say it, but I think it's leaning towards them heavily. For a second there, I was like, dude, this is leaning towards us. Bombardment on this board. But now I think it's heavily leaning towards them. Yeah, Soaring City. I wonder, that's probably a one of, right? All right. Attempting Bombardment number 1 wouldn't be bad. We could go for the swing and maybe Into the Fire hits the Djinn with our Devils. They kill the Restless Spire for sure. I'm just going to save everything back. The swing's not worth it right now. We're just going to try the Arcane Bombardment. And I'm almost positive it doesn't hit here. Like, they have 6 cards in hand. So Arcane Bombardment number 1 is out of the equation. Let's see if this Haughty Djinn can wrap up the game for them in the next couple turns. Because we might be forced to go full swing Devils into the Fire. And then if it's a counter... Okay. Not a second Haughty Djinn. It is a second Haughty Djinn. Okay. Lethal on the board, guys. So Moment of Truth isn't bad. Only have 1 open there. Oh man, that Soaring City was so good. All right, go for the swing. Block, block, block. Yeah, let's go. Okay. So we have a chance. We have a chance to take out 1 and survive 1 extra turn here. No, we can take out both of them if the Into the Fire hits. I don't think they counter Moment of Truth. They definitely have this counter spell. So if we start with Moment of Truth, 1, 2, 3, we still have 2 open after the fact. So maybe they counter this. Maybe we can get a counter spell out of their hand. They do not. Ill-timed Explosion, though. Also, Burn Down the House. Burn Down the House is a little bit better here, right? So 1 into hand, 1 into grave, 1 back into the deck. We don't mind putting Ill-timed Explosion in the grave because eventually we could bring it back, right? Okay. Let's see that counterspell, opponent. We're playing around and Make Disappear because we still have 2 open. If we can get rid of both of these Djinns, that would be wild. And... Urtai Scorn. Alright. GG opponent. Their counterspells really hit their mark, huh? I was trying to think, like, what does Mono Blue have for this bombardment? So we put it all into getting that bombardment on the board. Good game. I forget if I actually dropped it for you. Let's see. Let's see here. What counterspells hit the mark? Because we ended up countering their 1 counter, which felt just terrific, huh? So if their Soaring City was a 1 of, I do wonder. Because if depending on the mono blue that you're seeing, some of them care about how many islands are on the board, right? Because of their 5-drop draw card. It's probably a 1 of. And I would say that might very well be the only card in the deck that could deal. Oh, man. I wish I could just ask the opponent, like, was that your 1 Soaring City or are you rocking 2 of them? Because there might be scenarios where Mono Blue would want to, especially if they're not going for that path of having that 5 mana card that cares about having islands, right? Because it's just a great utility piece, especially if you end up flooding out. The way that it deals with anything that you need it to deal with, and hitting a big old chunky enchantment, I can't imagine a better target for Soaring City. Hey, speaking of which, all right, no double blue. Could eventually like grab an island with the field. This is a pretty bad hand, right? I think this is pretty slow. Let's do it. Let's do it, man, because we potentially have a tempo play with Rebuff, especially if we see... Okay. Especially if we see a blue source off the top. We're going to start with the mountain. Because we might need, like, if we see island, we'll go island instead of Soaring City. And we could see, like, another island after the fact. Similar concept with Stormcarved Coast, I would say. No 2-mana things in hand, so we're just going to play that out tapped. Yeah, like I said, similar concept. I totally forgot to change my cosmetics for this build, guys. I'm sad now. Soul Search, get out of my hand, opponent, you monster. So exile that card. If the card's mana value is 1 or less, you create a 1/1. We don't have any of those, so they're just grabbing whatever the heck they want to grab here, man. That's brutal. It's an exile, too, not a discard. A discard would be good for us. I wonder which one. I wonder what they're playing. Xander's Lounge and Rafine's Tower with the Soul Search. What did they hit there? My counter spell. What? Now we don't need the double blue. That's okay. It's a little bit funny. I mean, we'll eventually need the double blue, though, so. The Deserted Beach as well. Okay. So, Field of Ruin. We'll have Field of Ruin's ability open. I don't want to do it right now, I would say. We'll see. We'll see. Like, we don't know what we're up against, so maybe taking care of their one red source would be good. We probably should, huh? Like, we could wait until we know what we're dealing with, but at the same time, like, let's see if they just grab a mountain off this field. And we're gonna grab a island, I would say. We already have... Yeah, I want to keep the Soaring City for now as utility. They do have a mountain, so it is going to be 4-color. It wasn't just like a splash of red or something. 4th mana comes down. Ill-timed explosion, nothing to wipe on this board. So just keeping big score open, I suppose. Wandering Emperor. Okay, nothing from the opponent, guys. They're opting for patience here. This actually looks like a really good card, doesn't it? Oh, dragon! 5-color dragons? Oh, bro, Niv Mizzet Supreme. When's the last time we saw that? That's sick, dude. Each instant sorcery card in your graveyard. Oh, that's exactly 2 colors, has Jumpstart. That's so cool, dude. Okay. Well, we got to kill that for sure, but... big score for the turn, right? And then we have enough mana for the burn down the house. But same concept with the ill-timed explosion. Lightning Strike is probably the pick to discard. See what we see. Getting good ramp here. Stormcarved Coast. Okay. Dude, seriously, when's the last time we see Niv Mizzet Supreme? I guess literally the last time we played with it, which was months ago. So on our turn, if we go ill-timed explosion, we'll draw. We can discard the burn down the house, eventually have it for invoke, or we just like drop the burn down the house. But I'm interested to see what we draw, and while they're tapped out is probably the time. We'll still have 3. So draw 2. And then it's the biggest mana cost. It's not the combined mana cost. So it's burn down the house, keep the Invoke Calamity back. And this would be... you may discard 2 cards. The mountain, I suppose, right? Keep the other burn spells open. If Mizzet is out of the equation and we have our burn spells available. Okay. And eventually, yeah, like I said, Invoke Calamity can bring back the burn. Or we could go like Ill-Timed Explosion and Lightning Strike. Oh, Ill-Timed Explosion. All right. This is a full Niv Mizzet Supreme build. This is cool, man. So they go for the draw, and then, of course, they don't have to do anything else there. I'm going to go for the Scry on the Play with Fire, guys. Not sure how many little dorks we could hit with the Play with Fire, so just opting to go face. Leyline Binding. They're going take one of the treasures, and I say we just let them. Like, let's not spend it on the lightning strike, because we'd end up spending 2 of them. I don't need more land right now, I don't think. Especially while we have that treasure. Into the fire. Okay. Bring back the burn. We could do it on their turn. We don't know how much... We don't know if they end up having counter spells. So maybe it's big score on our turn while they're tapped out. Just see more off the top. Because we don't have to go super aggressive right now. Probably into the fire. Keep the burn in hand. It's also a little cheaper too. Okay, Chandra, that's one of our end pieces. We still have Invoke Calamity. If we want to attempt it on their turn, we totally could, but I want to get Chandra down, I think, first. All right, end turn. See what they got. This is exciting because I have no idea how to play around Niv Mizzet Supreme, or like what to keep in hand and when. You could see why they got rid of their the Urza rebuff then. Oh, that was exiled too. Niv Mizzet Supreme. Okay. They can totally do the soul search with the jump start and then get rid of our Chandra. So we're probably losing Chandra here. Yep. That's really, really good for the opponent. At that point, if they decide to go Calamity discard, we should just do Calamity right now, right? We should do Calamity right now to make sure Niv Mizzet dies. And actually, maybe we should have done that right away, right? Burn down the house, make sure it dies no matter what. Instead of like, well, we could go, oh no, that's tough. Invoke the Winds. Dude. I'm keeping that on top to try. To try to hit their next Niv Mizzet. And now our Chandra's out of here, so. So there was a choice for the opponent, right? They could have hit the Invoke Calamity. So that way their Niv Mizzet has a chance of survival. And if they did that, I think, like, I guess we could have played Chandra -5, but that just seems really bad too, huh? All right, we knew what we were drawing, and the plan here is to try to take their next Niv Mizzet. Memory Deluge, try to find it. At this point, I don't even want to use the Lightning Strike. I want to save it back for now. Really tough couple of turns, guys. Because this card really threw us around. The Soul Search hitting its mark nicely. No big creatures from the opponent. Need to see something good. Land. Ew. Gross. All right. We'll activate that, and we still have Lightning Strike open. See if this gets through. But with the opponent restocking their hand, it really makes you question if Ill-Timed Explosion would have been a little bit better to filter through our hand. A2 getting through. Maybe we will activate Lightning Strike at the end of their turn this time. Love the opponent's deck, man. Okay, Legions to Ashes. Oh, wow. Dude, nice. Perfect way to clean those up, huh? Did we still opt for Patience? I suppose. Let's see what we see off the top. Moment of Truth. Beautiful. Okay, we should do that on our turn. There's a chance that we want to play whatever we see, especially if we want to grab land, which I don't think we do. Oh, Urza's Rebuff, but now I want the Niv Mizzet on the board because we found the Invoke the Winds. Okay, we should grab the burn down the house then. That's one of the best ways to get through until they play the next Legion to Ashes, right? One into the grave is totally fine for the rebuff, but I think I'd rather eventually draw that too. So back into the library it goes and get rid of the land for now. Keep the rest open, awkwardly pass it back. There was probably a better way to play that out, right? Probably. Like playing Burn Down the House a few times just to get rid of their boss monster, only to eventually find Invoke Winds, definitely feels a little bit bad. But we wouldn't have known the scry was happening until we actually played the Play with Fire back, so... Etmir's Garden, cycle that out. They don't need it. Funny enough, we've actually seen more cards than them, apparently, because they still have 38 remaining in the deck. Yep, a little bit of patience with the Lightning Strike. You never know when it's going to come down to us finding Bombardment. Alright, I'll spend my turn with the Burn Down the House Devils, I suppose, and we'll have Play with Fire open. We haven't seen a counterspell from the opponent yet, so... They land, alright. Play with Fire is open for their turn. Legion to Ashes is sorcery, so hopefully we'll just get these 3 through. It's gonna be Lightning Helix, okay. That life gain's a little bit brutal, especially when we've been struggling to actually push through here. Wandering Emperor as well. Before it goes back to their turn, we're probably going to want to go Play with Fire on the Wandering Emperor. Because they're probably going to go Samurai. Block with Samurai. We take that out with Devil. We spend our Play with Fire. Well, let's get the block through first. The one gets through. Then we should do this especially while they're tapped out. Even though they haven't played a counterspell, they very well still could. And we also don't want them to go plus, like accidentally click through something and go plus on Wandering Emperor. Still going to keep the Soaring City as utility. Anyone's game, I do think it's leaning a little bit towards the opponent until we get something good to steal from them. Right? And since we took care of 2 of their Niv Mizzets, there's probably a low chance of them seeing a third for a little bit, for a few turns. And it might very well be... Oh, Memory Deluge. Yeah, find your Niv Mizzet, buddy. They go flashback on their turn, too, so... that probably guarantees that they don't have counterspells, right? I think so. They did all that on their turn. Okay, land off the top. Just kind of a top deck war, even though our hands have been... Like, we've still had a lot in our hand, technically. Just not a lot of good stuff. Our opponent dropped that Niv Mizzet. We have 1 card in our hand that they don't know about, and they're probably afraid of the Urza's rebuff. But still, worthwhile opponent, I promise. It's so worth it. Atraxa! Dude! Holy cow. Well, speaking of restocking a hand, Atraxa will do it. Yeah, that makes sense to have in there. I bet it's a 1-of. It's probably Niv Mizzet Supreme build, and a 1-of Atraxa because you're already playing all the colors anyways, so you might as well. See what they end up bringing into their hand here from this. Beautifully restocking. They hit 5 cards. Jetmir's Garden, Leyline Binding. Go for the binding. That's a little hasty with the binding, huh? Oh, we won't have the 3. Oh, okay. They actually don't have enough for the No More Lies. Zergo and Ujutai. Oh? Gonna hold the Lightning Strike still. They know we have Soaring City, but they're probably like, well, you don't want to bounce our Atraxa, so... Okay, they get rid of the Jetmir's Garden. Arcane Bombardment! Oh, man. We can't take a swing from Atraxa, though, right? Not when... Dude, oh, no. Because... Opponent, I am thinking, buddy. 1 second. Okay. So, if we go Bombardment, it lands. Like, they don't have a counterspell, not with the Cavern of Souls. But they drop Zergo and Ujutai. They're swinging for 11. Then they're going to have No More Lies open for next turn. And we're just going to do our best off of Bombardment at that point. Okay, it's unfortunate, guys. But I'm going to go Invoke the Winds just for the chance of surviving 2 more turns. That's my Atraxa now. Let's see it, opponent. Because it could easily be 3rd Leyline Binding and no worries at all. It is third Leyline Binding. Aw, man. Take their Atraxa. And now at that point, too. Oh, dude. Oh, geez. What if they have their own Soaring City? Niv Mizzet Supreme, number 3. It's hard to even be mad about this one, huh, guys? The opponent's deck is sick. I'm surprised by the Zurgo and a Jutai, and that must be why they call Dragon, maybe? So maybe they have another one in hand as well. So No More Lies is open, so Arcane Bombardment doesn't come down, so that's a big issue. At that point, we could... Like, we'd have the 2 if we played Soaring City, so No More Lies really proving its power level here. I suppose we just go Voltstrider for the turn. And we have 4 mana open, so if we collect Evidence, we could play Ill-Timed Explosion. Regardless, there's going to be a counter. So Ill-Timed Explosion and... What do we want them? We want to get that counterspell out of their hand, right? Right? We can take a hit next turn. So let's go for the Collect Evidence. Invoke the Winds. We don't want them to remove the Voltstrider, so Ill-Timed Explosion. Hopefully find something. We are hoping for that counter too. And Big Score too. Could eventually be good to bring back, so let's go for the Big Score. But it powers up the Voltstrider. It doesn't have any fancy features like haste or anything. But we can end up... How do I cast the things? Oh, whenever it attacks. Guys, we don't talk about it. I've played Magic the Gathering before, I swear. Alright, well, honestly, just like... just putting some extra cards in exile with it to give us more options isn't a bad... That's really funny, though. No, we have to attack with the Voltstrider to actually cast those things back. Legions to Ashes hits non-land permanents. My soul! Wait a minute. Aha! Wait, no, that's not worth it. Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, no, I definitely shouldn't have grabbed anything out of the grave there, guys. I really, really shouldn't have. Wow, they're even holding the Zurgo and a Jutai back. I guess we'll go Soaring City now. I think this is heavily leaning towards the opponent. As long as they have that No More Lies open to hit our big things. Man, that would have been really sick if we could have cast things back last turn, right? Oh, man. We got rid of their Jumpstart cards, too. And the Jumpstart really working wonders with the Niv Mizzet. So we protected ourselves for 5 for the turn. Get that Scry. They still have Jumpstart on the Lightning Helix. So if they don't go No More Lies... Wait, how far are we? 33 minutes? It might actually take a second for the opponent. Huh, Fading Hope. Huh. Actually don't mind that. Okay, I'll keep it on top. It might actually take a second for the opponent to win here. So let's go one more turn and then we'll just give it to them. So we'll let them get the No More Lies counter on the Bombardment. We'll get Fading Hope back. That'll give us like a little bit of a tempo play to potentially survive. But I kind of butchered it, especially with that No More Lies play. And then there was a lot of little decisions throughout that. I'm not going to blame the deck here. I think we potentially could have found a way through. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Niv Mizzet is a dragon as well. When I brought that up with the Zurgo, with the Cavern of Souls, they want to make sure that these dragons are getting down without being countered. Really neat deck, opponent. Fading Hope, let's go. Okay, so we'll pass it back. Actually, the opponent might be able to win this turn. Even past the Fading Hope, they might be able to just have a full counter spell for it. And they have the Lightning Helix, so let's see what ends up happening. I will attempt the bounce on the Niv Mizzet. Oh! Hexproof from monocolored. Dang. That's actually pretty good. Oh, we hit that tempo too. Are they going to cast that Lightning Helix back? Yeah, we might as well let them play this one out, guys. We might as well. I was going to drop the concede, but we have time for one more regardless. We'll be totally fine here. Lightning Helix and... Lightning Helix? It is Lightning Helix. Hey, good game, opponent. I'll use that Lightning Strike that I was saving in hand. We were saving it in hand just in case there was like something that we needed to remove in an emergency, but mainly in case we got the Arcane Bombardment actually on the board and established. I'll pay that. I'll pay that. And then they could do it again. Hey, they might have some quests that they're getting done. They might have a full array of quests, and then they're just like, you know what we'll do? We'll play a 5-color deck and get them all done at the same time. I know, I sound like a broken record at this point, but I couldn't be happier to go up against a deck like that, you know what I mean? We're seeing just a wonderful variety in Standard, and all the cards, all the decks that we're seeing a variety of, all of them seem really good. Like, I haven't gone up against a single opponent in like the last 2 or 3 months where I was just like, wow, that deck doesn't look good. You know what I mean? It's kind of wild to think about. Like, everyone is always playing something that's just like looks solid. Okay, keep it. I like it. Start with that Stormcarved Coast without any issues here. Potentially the last game of the evening, so let's see if we can pull off a victory here with Izzet. Because I fully believe in the list. Sometimes it depends what you're up against too. Like, this deck might be more suited to actually compete against aggro. Lunarch Veteran, huh? Okay. Potentially life gain. Orzhov life gain has been a thing for a little bit. Okay, keep everything open, pass back. Open for some mana off the top here. In the final thoughts, we might have to talk about going up some mana, because there have been some of the... Well, no, not necessarily. There have been moments where we're like, mana off the top won't hurt anything, but at the same time, probably doesn't matter too much. Like, we're still seeing a good amount of it. Abyssal Core's a good hit. But do we just tempo it out instead? It's not swinging this turn. I think I'm just going to go Moment of Truth. Maybe find a land. Oh. Nah, never mind. Let's remove it while we have the mana open and find that land off the top anyways. Ah, there it is. All too easy, huh? Now, we only have one thing open because it is a red source. But that's fine. It's probably Moment of Truth. Make sure we find the 4th and make sure we have the big score. Invoke the Winds. What could we take against a life gain? Sheoldred, right, is probably their top end. Oh! Crap. Okay. That's not good. Alright, let's see what they hit here. Because we don't want to go Moment of Truth on top of that. I don't think, right? Because if they go Moment of Truth, we could Fading Hope the Bat. No, that... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just better to let them have their choice. Fading Hope. Okay. Okay, that's totally fine. They still have 1 mana open. Make sure we find our 4th mana. They go for the swing. I suppose we start with Moment of Truth, see what happens. Okay, the 4th will be a tapped land. Ill-timed Explosion would be pretty good here, but... Make sure we have the mana. Totally fine. 1 into the graveyard. Ill-timed Explosion. 1 back into the library is Chandra. Okay. Okay, hey, an untapped source too. Wow. We have big score. With 1 mana, I doubt it's a Spell Pierce. I think we just let it pass back. And because they might play like a second Deep Cavern Bat. I guess they'd want to hit the big score, so we'd still want to do that on the stack anyways. Then we're still letting them see more to steal. Tough decisions, guys. Like, the ordering has been getting to me with this deck for sure. Because they know we have the big score too, so. Delny, dude, nice. All right, they tapped out too, so. That happens twice. So we got to remember, Invoke Calamity would be the best hit from a second bat. Oh, they still have mana. Maybe I should have made sure we played around a Spell Pierce regardless. Okay, now's the time to see more, and I'll ditch the Thundering Falls, unfortunately. Because I want everything else here for now. Okay. Be with fire. Nope. Nothing. Not with that ill-timed explosion in hand, right? End turn. I don't want to use the treasures either. Okay. Ill-timed explosion. Let's do it. Moment of truth. That'll be the discard, huh? And keep Invoke the Winds for now. So just the land then, I suppose. Well, the Fading Hope probably, because we're going to get a Fading Hope back. Moment of truth and Fading Hope. Hit everything for 2. Fading Hope bounces back. Play our land, and we have 2 of our cards open. Cool. Now we just need to figure out, like, the best way to actually get the damage through. Like, Chandra is still chilling in the deck. Both of our bombardments are still chilling in the deck, too. Yeah, so far I feel like we've had so many options. I think it's like a good level of options for like about what Izzet players would enjoy. I'm very satisfied with how the deck has been playing out. Okay, go ahead, bring back that Phantom. They still have 3 open here. I think, call me crazy, we're going to skip past the Phantom and just poke face and scry. Burn down the house. All right, dude. That's what you want to see. Saving that Invoke the Winds. Let's get the ball rolling. Yes, okay. Okay. We might even be able to cast out that Invoke the Winds if we don't use our treasures. And then maybe... I don't know if that would be great. They haven't played anything terrific to steal, and it might be because of that threat of us stealing it. Okay, Voice of the Blast. That'll probably be pretty good to steal. Land, gain 1 life. Yeah, I don't mind taking that. See what we see off the top, too, because technically, I think the opponent is in a very tough spot. They go for the swing. They might have played this Voice of the Blast with anticipation of us taking it too. That's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it in full swing. Because we could always recast it with the Invoke Calamity if they do play something better. And we still have a treasure open if we need that Fading Hope as well. And we could have let them like buff this up a little bit more too with more life gain, but I think it makes sense to spend the mana we have as now we are effectively putting on that pressure. We also have like Invoke Calamity, Play with Fire, burn down the house. Okay, so if they don't hit Fading Hope here, if they hit Calamity, we go Fading Hope at the end of their turn to make sure we get Calamity back into our hand. So they do hit the Fading Hope, knowing that that is the order of things. Sheoldred. Hi, Sheoldred. Hello there, buddy. So how we want to do this, so we could go... Well, let's draw. It's fine. We can take the 2. Lightning Strike. Wow. We have 7, don't we? We do have 7. We let them keep their Sheoldred, right? We're just like, we're going. 1, 2, 3. They gain 2. As long as they don't see something absolutely insane off the top. Invoke the Winds, take their Sheoldred. Seems like a safer play. But I just want Devils, man. Let's do this. We could also wipe the board too. Or bounce their Sheoldred with Fading Hope, but I want the Scry. This is totally fine. Field of Ruin, I'm going to send that to the bottom. We definitely just want to see better things. So the blocks go here, right? And then they probably keep Bat back. So full swing. If they're not careful with their blocks, first of all, if it's Voice of the Blessed into Shieldred, we use Lightning Strike to take care of the Shieldred then before they gain extra life. Because that's 6 getting through now. Lightning Strike their hand. No, we shouldn't. We should take care of the Shieldred before they draw something that draws them like 4 cards or something wild, you know what I mean? Then that would be way too much life gain. Going up to 5 though, because of Luminous Phantom. Hopefully the Devils will be enough here. It's a land. The Devils should in fact be enough, because they go back up to 6, but we have 6 Devils. No, they're going to be gaining off the Phantoms too. Technically they're still in this, especially if we top deck a land as well. Oh, Urza's Rebuff. Wow, dude. I mean, you can't ask for a better top deck at that point. Good game, opponent. Wow, that was a good one, man. That was awesome. Holy cow. Drew really well. Like I was saying, like, I just believe in the build. The opponent's deck looked like it was it Legends? It had Delny in there. It must have been Esper life gain with Delny, but with Delny in there too, it must have been Legends? Not 100% certain what kind of Esper build they were running, but I do think we got a little bit lucky overall, right? I think so. I think they could have seen a lot more of their deadly Legends. Okay, guys. Here's the deck list again. Few things, right? Even though it's a bombardment deck, like, we don't rely all in on the bombardment. Even though we tried to in the first 2 games, it was really nice getting that bombardment down in that first game with our counterspell countering their counter. It's too bad they had that Soaring City right on time, which honestly, it's like I said when we were going over that match, it could have been a 2 of in the opponent's deck, right? But it was probably a 1 of. So really good hit from the opponent. And honestly, we don't know what else the opponent had in that list too. They could have had more ways to deal with the bombardment. So you never know. A few things too. Like, we didn't get to actually get Chandra Hope's Beacon onto the board today, did we? But I still think it's going to be worthwhile as a 1 of on the top. Like, +2, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. That's already really good, because you guys saw in those matches how much we wanted to be able to do multiple things on the same turn, and like the deck just consumed mana at a rapid pace. 25 land probably isn't even enough, although with the Moment of Truth being able to find extra, the filtering on Into the Fire, the filtering on Ill-Timed, the ramp with the big score, I see why I went for 25. What would we drop for 26? One of the Lightning Strikes. But I'm not going to drop it. I still have faith in how the deck actually is just right now. So you guys will have to let me know in the comments, what would you add or take out? Because I actually think it's, I don't want to call it like fine-tuned, because I still might put it up as jank. But at the same time, you know, like I was saying, I kind of believe in it. The Invoke Calamity and the Invoke Winds totally did a thing today too. Even though we didn't get to steal like a better creature, just stealing any amount of creature was a good enough tempo in that last match to start swinging things in our favor. Yeah, I would have liked to see Into the Fire's 2 damage do a little bit more today too, but we didn't actually go up against any Boros. Wait, what matches did we have? We had that Legends life gain in the last one. We had the 5 color. What was the first game? Guys, I don't remember. Too much Magic in the last couple days. Yeah, I guess that's just oops. I'm sorry, opponent from the first game. When I go back and watch the video, I'll be like, oh, of course, how could I forget the first match? But anyways, that's funny though. Urza's Rebuff. I really, really like this card choice. I think the tap 2 target creatures will come in handy way more often than you would think. And yeah, just having that extra option when you do hit it off the bombardment is sick. By the way, if I didn't say it already, don't go up to 3 or 4 bombardments. We can't just fully rely on this when there's so many ways to actually remove the bombardment. Which brings me back to the spell pierce as well, like just having that extra counter spell to potentially counter the way that they're going to remove the bombardment could be pretty good. And I say potentially because at that point in the match, if you didn't ramp into it off of the big score or something, you're still looking at like turn 5, turn 6, even if you did ramp. So by turn 6, your opponent probably has the open mana anyways, and they would very much pay the extra 2 for a Tear Asunder to remove your bombardment, because bombardment is that good once it's established. So that's something about the spell pierce to consider. We could drop it and that could be the 26th mana too. Like, do we actually want 26 with all that filtering? Maybe. Like I said though, I'm going to keep it exactly the same. Really enjoyed the 2 Moment of Truths too. The extra option and like being able to stock up your grave with more things that you can bring back with Calamity or potentially Voltstrider. Don't do what I did in that one match, guys. For some reason, I was thinking Voltstrider always has that passive on the card where you can recast the stuff you exile with it, but it has to be attacking. So you're actually not doing anything with it on the turn this comes down. So you don't want to power it up right away. The opponent ended up having removal for it right away too, so that just ended up being a very bad turn for us overall. Also, Field of Ruin is in here to pick up first of all, it can help you mana fix, but second of all, it helps you pick up the Restless lands that can get around a lot of these board wipes. So that's pretty important, I would say. I think I like the 2 of, and I don't think the 2 of these is going to hold you up too often either. Really like the Thundering Falls. The Surveil is awesome. The one of Restless Spire, I find Restless Spire to be one of the weaker Restless lands, and so I don't think it's worth any more of these, but it's still nice to have in here, especially when, like, we're still trying to get damage through regardless, and after a good board wipe, maybe you only need 2 through with your Devils or something too, so still like the one Restless Spire too. Okay, guys. Is there anything else to talk about with the list? I don't think so. I think even in the losses, it performed relatively well. I still like the tempo with the double Fading Hope as well, too. Yeah, good stuff, man. I had fun with this. I always have fun with Izzet, though. I think Izzet is one of my favorite combo colors, funny enough. So, guys, if you made it this far into the video for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you. Make sure you check out that description where we got that Discord link, as well as that Patreon link if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. Okay, guys. Hey, I will see you in the next video.